Beams. My bald spot's almost gone. Shock! Now I'm a casual sort of fan of Star Wars. It kind of grew on me over the years, and I've had some phases where I was like big into it. Like when I got the toys during Phantom Menace, including like a Pod Racer Lego set for my birthday one year. And the Darth Maul and Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. I hadn't even seen the movie, so I didn't know I had all this merchandise for a terrible, poopy mess. But Darth Maul is cool. And recently I've kind of been getting back into it, but not like, well, like I said, I'm kind of casual. I'm a casual Star Wars pleb. So maybe I'm not qualified to review anything, because that's the law. But I watched The Rise of Skywalker finally, and I guess it was okay. Kinda liked it. I mean, in general, I kinda have a problem with this new trilogy even existing, because it's my belief, and I'm allowed to have it, that it shouldn't have even happened. I'm sure a lot of people probably agree. The Empire was beaten, and then it's sort of just back with a different name, and there's some new heroes thrown in to replace the old ones while the old ones are still around. And it's been pretty hit or miss. I was gonna say just like the prequels, but those were all misses. Even Revenge of the Sith, don't at me, bro, no one does anyway. I mean, overall, I guess, well, it's fucking late decade, whatever year, so movie making people have gotten better at it. So in general, I guess movies, even bad ones, are pretty passable. But this trilogy kind of annoys me for a bunch of reasons. I mean, obviously there's the big common criticism against Force Awakens, where it's just a rehash of New Hope, because in a lot of ways it is. I think that's kind of what J.J. Abrams likes to do. Rehash things or make trash when he's not rehashing. And like I said before, the First Order is just the Empire. And they just kind of spring up when the Empire was defeated, which kind of makes sense, because I mean, it's not like the whole Empire exploded when the Death Star did. But how did they come back and just become as oppressive as they were before, with their upper leadership and major forces gone? I guess The Mandalorian kind of addresses that, when that one dude that wants to see the baby has a bunch of stormtroopers hired, and he's kind of like amassing a force of them. So maybe other people did that, and they all came together and were like, hey, we're in order now. We are the First Order. Wasn't there an empire like that? Shut up. We're the first. Bitch. And the second one, The Last Jedi, that one just focused way too much on subverting expectations, to the point where it was just garbage. I mean, it derailed the trilogy. This, I'll get more into it, but Rise of Skywalker had to kind of go back and do a lot of damage control, and it suffered for it. It had a lot of things it had to try and fix or do in a rush in order to make up for what The Last Jedi did. And the heroes are just, they blow up the new Death Star planet thing, and then somehow they're losing. Because I guess the Republic didn't think to build a better military or some shit? Wouldn't the new Republic want to actually be ready in case the Empire tried to come back? But they weren't, and then they end up on the run from the not Empire. And of course there's the great scene where the flagship of the Republic decides, after its fleet has been picked off, to turn around and light speed dash through the fucking Empire ship. I mean, sure, they were near a planet where they could get their people to safely, I guess. Somewhat safely. A lot of them got nuked anyway. But still, I think the whole running for a long time and then deciding to counter was a little dumb. Actually, they wouldn't have had so many ships destroyed if they had just turned around. And they could have sent the lifeboat ships to the other ships that didn't get destroyed, because they weren't running as much, getting gunned down. I hope that makes sense. Shut up, phone. You're not part of this. I almost knocked my water over. Then there's also Rey being called a Mary Sue, but that's not really because it's her. I mean, her character was okay, the actress was good. The real problem is this trilogy didn't need to happen in the way that it did, so anybody you throw in that role is gonna be a Mary Sue, because all you're doing is just saying, hey, Empire's back, all the old heroes need a new hero, so they're gonna rely on some younger, upstart whippersnapper. So automatically, you got a Mary Sue right there. Ultimate formula for it. The only one who wouldn't be a Mary Sue in this situation is Baby Yoda. Nah, he would be too. It would suck. Star Wars fans need to accept what Star Trek fans have a long time ago, and that's that like 60% of their franchise is just gonna be bad. You take the good whenever you can, but just wait through a sea of shit first. You have to. Just accept it. I feel like they haven't nearly as much. I'm kind of a fan of both. Which is unheard of. Yeah, I've just learned. But that's because I'm a Sonic fan, so I mean, that prepped me for this shit way before. Hey, Wormmon. So to recap the movie in about 20 minutes, because this fucking video is going to take forever. It starts with Kylo Ren trying to get a Wayfinder because Palpy is back and left a message for the whole fucking galaxy, and he's on his way to find him, and he finds him, and Palpy's like, join me, and he's like, fine, I might betray you, but fine. And then he does, and it turns out there's a whole mega fucking fleet of Star Destroyers that have been getting built for decades, and they're gonna attack the galaxy and reestablish the Empire under the Final Order. Of course, the heroes get the message too, and Rey and them set out to go fight Palpy, and there's lots of interaction with Kylo trying to turn Rey into the dark side, and they have to find another Wayfinder thing to go find the Sith homeworld where Palpatine's been hiding this whole time, building his fleet. And along the way, Rey has to accept the fact that she is, spoilers, this whole fucking thing is spoilers, it's a review, expect them, I say like 10 minutes in. She finds out she's a Palpy herself, Rey Palpatine, because she's the granddaughter, I almost said grandson, she's the granddaughter of Emperor Palpatine. So she comes to terms with that while also trying to get Kylo Ren to not be Kylo Ren anymore. And then the fucking rebel fleet is incredibly small at this point, and goes up against this massive fleet in the final showdown, while Kylo and Rey go up against Emperor Palpatine together. And there's some kind of weird force diode that only happens once in, I don't know how many years, I forgot. Did I even see this movie? I snotted a little bit. And they come together to fight Palpatine, who, by the way, survived because he just mentions that the dark side leads to some unnatural abilities. He's all wired up, and I think his lower half is gone. They don't really say, but his robe hangs in a way that would make you think there's nothing below his waist. And his fingies are all fucked. Like, he's got half fingies on some of his fingers. And he sucks the life energy out of Kylo Ren and Rey and becomes full again. And the whole time he was wanting Rey to strike him down so he could possess her. Sort of, and bring all of the Sith essence together and have her take the seat of the Final Order throne empire thing. Shut up! But Kylo Ren kind of shows up. Like I said, they go at him together, and he's like, you'll die together! And then he eats their life, becomes full again, and lightnings the sky, and the good guys show up at the end of the day because Lando Calrissian went out in the Millennium Falcon and said, I'm gonna go gather people that would want to actually not get destroyed by the Final Order, because I guess people had been too afraid to rise up. So they all get together and fight the First Empire to stop their star. I gotta fix this fucking memory card issue, or just get better equipment, or just retire. Just probably retire. So the good guys win against the fleet, and then there was kind of a cool moment where Rey, the whole movie she was trying to commune with past Jedi and kind of sucked at it because she had like no fucking training. But at the end, like a lot of the Jedi from throughout the series start talking to her, and they tell her the Force is with her and all the Jedi are with her, and she's got like her lightsaber and Leia's lightsaber, which Luke gives her after he becomes a Force ghost. Well, he'd been one, I guess. But he reveals himself to her earlier, and he's like, hey, Leia would want you to have this. And she uses her 2 lightsabers while Palpy is like shooting a mega lightning beam at her, and she like reflects it, and it just destroys like a big Sith gathering Palpatine had also had. And him, like it just erased him kind of quickly. And then she dies, and Kylo Ren's like, hey, I'm still here. And he brings her back. Because they kind of established healing powers being a Force diode or something. I'll get into that in this fucking hour-long marathon shitfest. So that's Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. Is that the name? Bad points first. Kind of held my breath a lot and drank a bunch of this. I want more! Honestly, even though overall I would give this movie a 6 out of 10, I feel like I have a lot more bad points than good. It's like double the fucking size. And it's not that I didn't go into this movie wanting to hate it. I actually went in with like no expectations and figured, fuck it, I'll just watch it. And kind of actually enjoyed it. But a lot of dumb stuff happened, and it just fell short on a lot of things. So I'm not just hating it because it's cool and I want to be a famous internet personality and wear suits. I mean, I genuinely just had a lot of problems with my big brain and the small brain things this movie did. First and foremost, yeah, I'd say it first. The pacing. Like, if you thought my fucking recap was haphazard and bullshit and breezing over things, let me just tell you, it kind of did a little bit, but that's what the movie did. It wasn't the most in-depth overview, but it was kind of as in-depth as it could get, given the source. Because this fucking movie just flew by. Like, it's 2 hours, and it's just breakneck... it's breakneck speed, and not much exposition, because they move so fucking fast. And like I said earlier, they had a lot they had to cover, and a lot they had to fix, so I think that's part of the pacing problem. That's a lot of pace. I have to burp. I don't have to. But it just, a lot happened pretty quickly with minimal exposition. I mean, Palpy's just back. As soon as the title crawl, whatever it's called, that's Zelda. As soon as that hits, it immediately starts with, Palpatine is back! He sent a message to the galaxy! And it's like, oh, he's alive. We're not even alluding to it possibly being a Force ghost or a memory. No, he's back. He's back. He's calling the galaxy. He's alive. Little half-manlet thing hooked up to machines, but he's there. He's making phone calls. And when Kylo Ren, well, when it gets to the action, Kylo Ren's already running through a bunch of jerks to get the Sith Wayfinder to find the Sith homeworld that Palpy has been hiding on this whole time. Luke had been looking for it and failed to find it, but heroes managed to succeed pretty well, pretty quickly. Just saying. Kylo gets to Darth Palpy. I think I mentioned he had the Wayfinder. He gets there and Palpatine's like, I have been all the voices in your head, Snoke Vader. And I guess the whole time he'd been manipulating everything and he had made Snoke as he was. And that's all the exposition you get for that. Palpatine's just alive because of unnatural abilities, and I guess he raised Snoke, or Snoke was a Force ghost thing? Because people do some weird shit with the Force in this trilogy? I don't know. On the one hand, it's kind of like, okay, I mean, they never really got too big into it in the original trilogy. Palpatine was just there. But, I mean, on the other hand, it's like, okay, Snoke is just Snoke and Palpatine's just alive. Fine. But like I said, he's got a fleet he's been making for a long time somehow. And these fucking this fleet is full of Star Destroyers that could just blow up planets very easily. Like, each one has a cannon on its underbelly designed to blow a planet away, and they use it on one planet that the heroes go to in the movie to try and get to a clue of where the Wayfinder to get to the planet is that Palpatine's on. Because C-3PO reads a knife that has Sith language on it, and he's not allowed to say it. Which was kind of cool, because the Senate, around the time the Empire was rising, the Senate said, hey, droids cannot legally translate Sith text and say it out loud. So C-3PO knew where the fucking planet was, but he wasn't allowed to say. So they had to go to a planet to get him hacked and erase his memory. Don't worry, he gets it back. Because of course he did. Where the fuck was I? But that planet gets destroyed. That's why I brought that up with one of the cannons. And the thing is, like, how the fuck does... There are a lot of Star Destroyers in this fleet. Like, the fleet is immense. And somehow each one has this cannon, but it was such a big deal for the Death Star to have it. And it took them a long time to, like, make 2 of them. But I guess 2 of them were made kind of quickly in terms of the first trilogy and how long that all spanned. And it had been many, many years. So it kind of makes sense that this fleet is as equipped as it is. Because it's packing some serious heat. It's really stretching it. Especially considering the Empire, like, collapsed. And Palpatine was like a half-robed person. I don't know. He just did it. Maybe they could have gotten more into that. If Rian Johnson had fucked the trilogy over... Hey, that actually kind of works. That was like... I was going to get more into how they had to undo the last movie on my little bullet point list over here. They're not bullet points, they're dashes. Yeah, there's just a lot that could not really be gotten into because the movie had to kind of go back and fucking make Palpatine the villain because Snoke was done away with so that our expectations of him being the big bad guy were subverted. They had to go back and make Kylo more into the dark side again when before he was like, fuck all this dark side and light side shit. Let's just do our thing and go. And they had to get to, like, I guess why the good guys were so weak is because a lot of them had just given up. Because Rian Johnson just made them weak. So we needed a reason. But this movie in general just felt like they had to try and breeze through things because there was so much ruined by Last Jedi that they couldn't really get into, like, a lot of the things going on in this one. They had to just make it happen. Palpatine had to replace Snoke because Snoke was cut in half. I don't think he was supposed to be. And also, it just cheapened things bringing Palpatine back. Which actually, that kind of leads right into the next point. Damn! Perfect. They relied on a lot of nostalgia for this. Luke's X-Wing makes a return. Palpatine's back, and he's the villain, and he's been the villain the whole time, again. C-3PO is all like, I'm looking at my friends. That's not really nostalgia, though. That's just a corny line. But I think they were going for nostalgia there. Right before he gets his mind wiped to get the Sith shit translated. And the Death Star makes an appearance. Large chunks of it are just sitting on... I don't remember what planet. But they're sitting on a planet in larger chunks than it really should be, because that thing got exploded pretty badly. And of course, that means Rey has to go to the fucking throne room area, and they play the damn Imperial March theme. They do that a lot. That gets played a lot in this fucking movie. Just to remind you, which kind of really just drives the point home that they're rehashing the Empire. If the Imperial theme is played all the time, Palpatine's back. And of course, lightsabers are in it. Luke's, I think, or at least his blue one. You know, the one that killed all the younglings when Anakin first turned. Did it.